Yeah, the subject of today's webinar is how to achieve positive unit economics in the grocery delivery, so basically in e-grocery business. And today's agenda is the components of the unit economics and why they matter. Then we will discuss the strategies for achieving positive unit economics and tips and actionable insights for benchmarking, including the percentage breakdown, etc. Of course, feel free to post your questions. The questions are very welcome in the chat now or in the comment sections after, or feel free to send a direct message to myself or to Alexey after the webinar, and we'll do our best to share the materials and respond to your valuable questions. And during the course of the webinar, we'll go into comment section from time to time to tackle the questions. Okay, so now that's a quick slide about us. My name is Evgeny. I'm a Chief Operating Officer of Yango Tech. So I have experience in running technological businesses and heavy operational businesses in the UK and Central Asia. Also have been lucky to be part of a few ERP implementations. And Alexey is our head of implementations of Yango Tech, and he's got a great consulting background from well-known company McKinsey, and he is actually in charge of all of our implementation and using the best consulting practices to implement our technology into our partners.
Yeah,
okay. Brilliant. Thank you again, everyone, for coming, and whoever else have just joined. So I'll give a quick overview of what is our company history and basically why we are credible enough to talk about what we're going to be talking about. So our first dark store we opened in May 2019, and in February 20, after the MVP, we started to expand to the new cities, and then in December 2021 we expanded beyond the home market. In 2022 we already have achieved the positive unit economics, and basically we made that business profitable, and then we decided to offer the same technology which we are using for our own business to our partners all around the world, and those would be the e-grocery operators, who could be the conventional retailers or dark store operators, and pretty much anyone who could benefit from it. And we already live in the Middle East in a few countries, and hopefully in many more countries to come. This is like a quick snapshot of the business. It's now around 500 dark stores. Of course, our operating is almost 5 stars. The accumulated GMV is over $1 billion now, so it's a very large business of very large scale. 99.9% of our orders come in full without the substitutes, and we managed to turn our couriers up to 5 times per hour. And I will talk more about this on the later stages of our webinar. Our infrastructure is extremely powerful, extremely strong, capable of handling hundreds of thousands of orders through our cloud infrastructure. Now, again, I will repeat for those who have just joined, like what we do, and in a nutshell is that we provide end-to-end solutions for the e-commerce, which help to improve the unit economics and build the profitable e-grocery business. This is a quick overview of our full technological stack. So we offer the white label client app. So basically everything what is related to the getting those orders and processing those orders, as well as we have a product information system, which basically feeds all the information, product pictures, ingredients, etc., into the client app. And it could be our client app or our partner's client app or aggregator client app. We have ready-made integrations for the different client apps. We have Picker App and WMS system, which automates all the procedures and all the operations inside the store. And of course, we have the last mile solution, which runs all the couriers. So our inventory system works in real time. So basically, you can see every single item in real time, and all operations are fed into our picker app, so that the pickers don't need to think much, just follow the instructions of fully automated system. The questions on this slide are very, very welcome, but I think we'll progress further to the unit economics. Now, basically, what is the unit economics? What is that? Basically, that's the calculation of how much money you make or lose per order. So really, the revenues less the cost per order or per store or per any other unit. And I guess everyone on this call knows that. Why that this is important? Oftentimes, companies, the unit economics the business becomes more and more efficient with the scale, right? So many companies, and especially in the e-grocery segment, they tend to burn massive amounts of money without really knowing when they are going to achieve the scale where they will become profitable, and the cash burn becomes uncontrollable, which is pretty dangerous for the company. We, of course, have already achieved our profitability, so we can relax a little bit. And for those who want to increase their profitability or who is now still not profitable, this webinar could be helpful. And of course, we're happy to answer further questions on how to do it. So the main reasons is basically to make business profitable. Now, what the unit economics of the e-grocery or of the dark store, which delivers orders to the online, what it consists on. And this is, of course, a simplification. We have much more complex model, which we're happy to discuss like on one-to-one basis on the later stages with everyone interested. Here is the simplification, like your revenue, basically the money in, what it consists from. So the average order value, so your basket size, this is your absolute top line, and then the delivery fee, how much you charge your customers for the delivery fee, right? So those are the only money which you are taking from your customers. Of course, there is back margins and some promotional money coming from the suppliers, vendors, and etc. But we won't be covering this in the scope of this webinar. Now, everything else is essentially what takes money from your P&L, which is the cost of groceries, basically how much you buy those groceries, which you sell afterwards, the cost of fulfillment, how much every single pick or the picker, or how much it costs to prepare the order, pick, pack the order, and then once the order handed over to the delivery driver to deliver it to the customer, how much it costs per delivery. So, and basically the revenue minus the costs equals your direct contribution. So from here, I will open the very simple spreadsheet, which helps to understand like how it works in practical terms. I'm just looking at the chat window, guys, and if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to post them, and I will be very happy to answer them at the end of the webinar. I see now that you can see my screen, which is a simple spreadsheet. So we'll try to build like a simple P&L, simplification of the P&L here. Now, the first item, of course, is our average order value. So basically, this is how much we sell our average basket for. Now, the second item will be the delivery fee. So how much are we charging for the delivery fee? And this is essentially all of your revenue. So we can see that the basket is a major part of your revenue, and delivery fee is a smaller part of your revenue. Now, then you will analyze the cost and basically how much is the cost of your groceries. So how much you sell the groceries for. To answer this question, you will need to know what is your markup on your goods. So let's say for the sake of this example, we mark up 25% on the groceries. And that will mean that on the average basket of $21, the cost of our groceries is about $17, right? Of course, if our markup is higher, then our cost of groceries is going to be lower, right? Now, the next line in our simplified P&L would be the cost of fulfillment, basically the cost of picking. So how do we calculate this? So we take our typical dark store or gray store, whatever the facility, or the micro fulfillment center, whatever the facility you're fulfilling your orders from. So where you are doing the pickpacking. So let's say that store is doing 200 orders per day, and you have like some pickers on that store, and depending on geography, your cost of labor in that store could be different. Let's assume you are somewhere in the Middle East. That means that the cost for business is anywhere from $3 to $3.50 per hour of the picker labor. If you are somewhere in Africa, that probably would be $1.3, $1.6, $1.7 per hour. So in different countries, it's different. So how many orders can one picker pick per hour? So let's assume that he can do 5 to 10 orders. On our benchmark stores, the time per item is per SKU is anywhere from 6 to 10 seconds per SKU, even on the bigger dark stores. So that's really fast. So if you can calculate how many items is there in your average basket, and from there you will determine what is the average time per basket. And from there you can determine how many picker shifts you need on your store. So let's assume that to cover the day of the store, which is doing 200 orders per day, you need 8 shifts, right? So that's 8 people coming for whatever. So I mean, let's assume you need 5 shifts of 8 hours. So let's assume you have the shifts of 8 hours, and that means you will need like 5 people at different times of the day to cover the workload of the store. So total picker cost per day then will be about $120 through the simple formula, and then cost per order of fulfillment is going to be about 60 cents, right? So this is really really effective, really cheap. So on every order, you spend only 60 cents for the fulfillment, for the picking. For the sake of this simplification, we are not looking at the cost of keeping the warehouse, utilities, etc., etc. Now, the last line, which is like very significant, is which is very different. So basically, what makes the e-grocery different from the conventional retailers is that you have the delivery, which you don't always have in conventional retail business. So how do we calculate the cost of delivery? That's a very simple formula. We take the cost of courier per hour, and cost of courier per hour tends to be higher than the cost of picker, simply because they have motorbikes, they need more skills like driving license, etc. And this work is actually harder than the work inside the store, because sometimes you need to be in the heat, sometimes in the cold, so it's usually more expensive. Then how many orders per hour the courier can deliver? And this is one of the key operational metrics which you would always strive to improve, because the business cost per hour of labor of courier is fixed. So if you can get this courier to turn around more times, that means that you can split his cost of labor between more orders. So that means the higher this number, the lower going to be the CPO. So in this particular example, the CPO is going to be $1.86. But imagine if you can get this courier to deliver not 2.2 orders per hour, but let's say 3 or 4 orders per hour, and then your CPO will drop significantly. So you will save money on that. So now let's have a look at your direct contribution. So basically, we will need to deduct all your costs from all your revenues. And in this example, our dark store on 200 orders per day is already profitable. Of course, there is going to be some other costs, but that means already 12% of your total revenue is actually your contribution. So this is the example of the dark store model. And guys, please send in the chat if you have any questions. I don't see any questions yet. I hope everything is clear and everyone is finding this webinar useful. I'll come back to the slides now and proceed with the further explanations. And of course, this simplified model and more complex model we can share with you in the spreadsheet after the webinar. Please feel free to send us the direct message. So what are the strategies for achieving like positive unit economics in operation and in commerce? I will be covering more of the operations part, and Alexey will take over after to cover the commercial part. Now, the cost per order of couriers. So how can we actually improve this metric, right? So what is our levers? What are our methods? So number one is, of course, routing. So we can send our couriers to the most optimal route. Dispatch. This is the time of how long it takes for example, for courier to get the package from the pickers. So here our very sophisticated technology comes in place because it's literally instant. Sometimes couriers need to kind of wait when the aggregator app will receive the location and the parameters of the bus of the order before they can collect it. Those things, they come together, basically routing, dispatch, and batching. Batching is when you actually assign few orders to the same courier. So if your orders are located close to each other, that means that you are on the way, then that means that without losing in efficiency, without losing time, the courier can actually drop few orders on the way. And once you hold in real time the information about all of the locations of where the orders are coming from, also once you have in real time information about what are the baskets being filled up at which locations and when they are going to be checked out, you can really be very intelligent and you can use very smart predictive algorithm to batch orders in most optimal manner. So sometimes it's better for the courier, for example, sometimes it's better for a courier to wait for 1 minute longer to get another order received and packed so that he can actually drop it on the way. So let's say, for example, you don't have couriers in the store right now and you have one order ready, but you know that the other order is being packed or the other order is being checked out now. So you get your courier to wait for another minute so that you can batch another order which is on the way to that one. And that is one of the very important ways of optimizing the performance of the couriers and OPH, or orders per hour per courier. Now, you can, of course, use own couriers, or you can fall back on the third-party couriers. So typically, we have like the peak times. So the demand for the groceries or whatever you're distributing from your micro fulfillment centers is not flat. So at some hours of the day, you have more demand, and other hours you have like less demand, and then it might spike again. So usually the way how it looks like is about lunchtime, you have the spike in demand, then before dinner, it's less demand, and then it's again higher demand, right? And while the courier shifts, and you don't always have like enough couriers to match this demand. So usually the sometimes you would have more couriers, sometimes less couriers. So you might want to have just enough couriers to service this level of demand, and the peak demands, you might want to fall back into the third-party couriers or into the taxi applications or something like this. But there is like even smarter way to offset the peaks and match the supply and demand. And I will show this in the next slide. This is the example of search. We're all familiar with the search term from taxi business, when basically there is too much demand, the taxi fares are higher than usual. And then you have a choice, either to pay more or to wait for the fare to go down. And this is exactly the same concept which we're using here. So once we have too many orders and not enough couriers, we can introduce the delivery fee or the minimal basket fee. And that means that some of the customers will choose to not place the orders now, but we'll choose to place the orders later. So we will offset this demand to later. And here is the graph of how it works in the practical terms. So you have certain amount of orders per hour target, you have certain amount of orders per hour, and then you have the spike in demand. So you need to do more orders per hour, right? And then you implement search, which is the delivery fee or the minimal basket. So certain percentage of orders are becoming search. So you make, as a business, you make more money on those orders. So, and we look here at the result and what happened. So there is less canceled orders haven't changed. So you see, it's like the same level of canceled orders as before we apply the search. And at the same time, our delivery promise is no more than 15 minutes still. So we actually have done best for both parties. So those customers who are not price sensitive, they still place the orders, and those who are price sensitive, they place their orders after. So we satisfied both types of our customers, as well as made more money for the business. And this is one of the superpowers of our courier management tools, and definitely prerequisite for the profitable business. So the other levers here are the shifts, which is pretty simple. Make sure that your courier shifts are as close as possible to your demand. KPIs, where you pay bonuses to the couriers to work better and faster. There is the whole science behind it of how to manage your workforce and how to continuously improve them. The dashboards, like the ones which I demonstrated on this screen, which your operations team can be monitoring and can be improving and can be monitoring and controlling the business of what happens. So those are some of the main tools of improving the courier efficiency. And of course, don't forget to ask questions. Now, this one is the fulfillment. So how do we improve the fulfillment? How do we get our fulfillment more efficient? So the logic is pretty similar. The less pickers needs to pack more orders. So the same as less couriers needs to deliver more orders. Same logics in the fulfillment center. So number one thing is the real-time inventory. What does that mean? First is that whatever the client sees on the app is exactly what we have in stock. So there is no discrepancies and there is no missing items. So your pickpackers are not going to be wasting time calling the customer asking, oh, can I substitute Coca-Cola Zero for Coca-Cola Light? Because the customer will exactly see what you have in store. And if you don't have one of the items in store, then it will simply be removed from the client app, so it wouldn't be possible to order it. Now, in-store routing, we send our pick packers through the most optimal route inside the store, so they never need to go to do the circles, because we know what is on which shelf. So your pick packer will only wait one way to the most optimal route and save himself time. We do have a robot fulfillment, which could be very handy for the economies where the cost of labor is high. So that helps us to actually almost bring the cost of labor. It could possibly make the cost of labor in developed countries same as in developing countries. Automated tasks is a very important part of our WMS and of our picker app. That what helps. That means that your pick packers, they don't need to think much about what they need to do. For example, when the item is coming up to the expiration, the automated task will come to the picker app and will send the picker to a particular shelf to take this item and write it off. We also have the automations like where for the fresh items, where the picker will see the pictures of the apples, for example, and number of stains on the apple, which are acceptable and not acceptable as per your company policy. So if there is 2 stains, it's acceptable, we keep it on the shelf. If there is 4 stains, or it's a little bit yellow, we write it off. But not only that, also, we don't actually want to write them off. So just before the expiration date, we would automatically send the item on promotion and try to sell it off. So this usually gives a 15 to 30% decrease in cost of fulfillment. And the other large lever is actually our fulfillment optimization or the distribution center optimization. This gives you the savings of 3 to 5% of the GMV. This is massive on large scale. So how does it actually work? Usually you would have the delivery schedule from your suppliers, and you would have the minimal order quantity from the suppliers. And oftentimes what you actually want to replenish as per your demand is different to what your supplier can deliver, because you could possibly use say 20 bottles of Coca-Cola, and the minimal order is say 40, and they can only deliver once a week. So as we see the inventory in real time, we connect our artificial intelligence algorithm to it, and we know exactly what is going to be consumed when, and then the automatic internal transfer or the purchase order is being sent to distribution center or to the supplier, making sure that you will replenish just as much as you need, just in time. And after some time, the algorithm actually learns to predict better than any human can do. And on large scale, that's, to be honest, the only way to run the business. And I'm happy to dive deeper into the logics of this and how it works. But now I'm going to hand it over to Alexey to talk about the commercial metrics. Alexey?
Evgeny, you discovered that many topics in operations. Thank you a lot. Let's see what we have in commerce. I want to start with commerce incentives. Basically, these are the discounts which we give to our customers. Here we have 2 big levers to improve commercial incentives. In particular, to decrease them to the level of 1 to 3% of total GMV. First of all, based on our experience, we think that dynamic pricing and dynamic discounts work well. For example, you can give discount for close to expiry date products, or you can introduce some games, for example, discount in the evening or instead in the morning. So this helps a lot to drive sales. And at the same time, don't give discounts to everybody for everything, but be smart in this sense. Also, we think that bundles can work quite well. Bundles, how do they work? So basically, you give a discount, for example, 10%, once you buy 2 items of specific goods. If you don't buy one of them, you don't get a discount. In this sense, again, you drive sales. At the same time, you can play smart to introduce the discount and drive total level of incentives down. I think we can move next. Yep, front margin. Actually, front margin, basically, this is the difference between the price you sell to the customers and the price you pay to the suppliers. And for sure, this much depends on the bargaining power and quality of assortment. Bargaining power with your suppliers. So you need like economies of scale. At the same time, to introduce quality assortment, to introduce the items which actually have quite high front margins, you need specific tools for the analytics of your category managers. And we usually on a daily basis, I would say even on hourly basis, track the performance of every SKU on every store to make mindful decisions about which SKUs we should keep in our assortment and which should be replaced. For example, we even build clusters of assortment in specific part of the city. We introduce these SKUs, in other parts of the city we introduce different SKUs. So to drive front margin, and based on our experience, it could be up to 45% total. We use live commercial P&L report with high precision of data to track performance of every SKU. On the next slide, I also want to mention write-offs. Write-offs actually could be quite high, especially if you focus on fresh assortment, which is very important to drive retention, to drive frequency of your customers. That's why it's very important to control write-offs. In this sense, what actually we do, we think that demand planning based on artificial intelligence, that is auto-replenishment, is super useful. There are different algorithms, and actually they can decrease your total write-offs to less than 1%. Also, dynamic discounts. So, as I mentioned before, for close to expiry date products, you also can introduce discounts to drive sales and actually get rid of items which are soon to be expired. And also, let's talk a bit about average order value. Super important, quite difficult KPI to increase. And there are two big levers here for average order value. First one is number of SKUs, number of unique items you keep on the shelves to provide to your customers in the assortment. So here we observe the following effect. So if you imagine corner shop with average assortment approximately 2,500 items, and if you increase this assortment by 100 new SKUs, you can drive your average order value by 1 percentage point at least. So this is just very modest estimate. And but our space in the store is quite restricted. That's why actually we also use demand planning tools based on AI, and this helps us to keep less items of the same SKU in the store and put another SKU. Also, we employ some shelves layout improvements to make shelves fit in the store in a better way. And it also saves space. So we don't have overstock, we don't have backstock. At the end of the day, you can increase average store by 700 SKU, unique ones, if you do it the right way, based on our experience. And another lever which drives average order value is on-shelf availability. This is the next one. On-shelf availability, this is basically whenever your customer opens your website or app, he or she can find a specific SKU. And if we say, for example, that 100 OSA is 100%, This means that anytime person opens app or website, he or she can find every SKU which you have in your active assortment. We also observe that this is quite important to drive many metrics, and in particular to drive average order value by 0.6 percentage points for every 1 percentage point improvement in OSA. How can we improve this? I would mention 3 levers. First one is again demand planning based on artificial intelligence. So algorithms place orders, like Evgeny mentioned, to distribution center or to direct suppliers to keep inflow of goods based on the demand. And it's important to control for every store, because in every store the situation could be quite different. Second lever I would mention automatic exchange of data with suppliers. If we send purchase order to supplier, for example, please bring us 10 boxes of milk tomorrow, we can do it by email. But a better way is to exchange these messages with suppliers via EDI, and this improves the SLA. So that's the second lever to improve on-shelf availability. And third one, it's quite interesting. You can just one step back again. Yeah, we can select specific assortment, super most wanted. For example, milk, bread, and some oranges. These are super important for a customer to place order and to build a bigger basket. If they don't find these SKUs, they will not place an order at all. That's why we can select these specific items in our assortment and keep OSA very high for these SKUs. At the end of the day, it will improve our average order value quite a lot. So this is the third level I would mention to improve on-shelf availability. We can track on-shelf availability for most wanted items and make it much higher than average OSA, because it's again a balance of OSA and write-offs. We can't make OSA 100%, so we should be mindful here. Let's move on. Also want to mention other revenue. What's this? Actually, this is revenue we get from our suppliers. We can get up to 3% of extra revenue based on our experience if we allow our suppliers to have specific dedicated space in the app, on the website, to promote their SKUs. And this is another source of revenue. It's another world of how to manage this, how to introduce a supplier web page where they can track the performance of their metrics for this specific SKU. And this is quite important to be mindful about this functionality also, because it's quite a good revenue source in addition to our sales. If you have any questions, please feel free to post in the chat. I will be happy to answer.